Humans lived without money for 290,000 years. Every civilization you learned about in school, Egypt, Rome, Greece, all of them had money. But they represent less than 2% of total human history. For the other 98%, there were no coins, no banks, no prices, no wages. And here is the part that nobody teaches you. The people living in that 98% worked less, ate better, and by almost every measurable standard, lived more freely than you do right now. So what were they doing instead? Because here is what nobody tells you. The world before money was not chaos. It was not every man for himself. It was something far more sophisticated, far more human. Let's start by destroying the most popular myth in economics. Before money, humans bartered. You had chickens, I had wheat. We made a deal. This is the story every economics course starts with. Adam Smith wrote about it, and it is almost completely fiction. Anthropologist David Graeber spent years searching the historical and archaeological record for evidence of barter economy. He found nothing. The story was invented. Economists needed a simple origin story for money, and they made one up. And we have been teaching it as fact ever since. So if not barter, then what? The answer is something that makes modern economists deeply uncomfortable. Gifts. In 1925, French sociologist Marcel Mauss published a small study that had spent years analyzing economies across dozens of cultures. Pacific Islander tribes, Native American nations, Arctic communities, African societies, and he found the same system operating independently everywhere humans lived. Not trade, not barter, giving. Communities ran on a gift economy. You gave what you had to whoever needed it. No price negotiated, no immediate return expected, no contract signed, no record kept. But here is the part that sounds strange until you understand it. Giving was not charity. Giving was power. In these societies, the wealthiest person was not the one who accumulated the most. It was the one who gave away the most. Status, respect, influence, all of it flowed toward the person who could give most generously. The accumulator was viewed with suspicion. The giver was the leader, kept communities alive and thriving for hundreds of thousands of years. The Pacific Northwest potlatch ceremonies are the most documented example of this. Chiefs competed not to hoard resources, but to give them away. A chief who gave away everything in a single ceremony became the most powerful person in the entire region. And here is where it gets genuinely strange. When Europeans first encountered these gift economies, they were completely baffled. They called it wasteful, irrational, economically insane. The Canadian government actually banned the potlatch ceremony in 1885, made it illegal, because a system where the most generous person holds the most power is a direct and existential threat to a system built entirely on accumulation. Now, here is the part that most people never hear about. These societies did not just use gifts to exchange goods. They used gifts to manage conflict, build alliances, and create peace between groups. Gift created an obligation, not a legal one, a social one. If I give you something, you are now connected to me. You will not attack me. You will support me in difficult times. Our families will intermarry. Our children will know each other's names. Gifts were not generosity. Gifts were infrastructure. But what about when things went wrong? When someone took more than they gave? In a gift economy, this was the worst thing you could possibly do. Worse than violence. Because violence could be forgiven. Stinginess destroyed the entire system. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm studied 150 hunter-gatherer societies across the world and found they all used the same mechanism to prevent any single person from accumulating too much power. He called it reverse dominance hierarchy. The moment anyone tried to dominate the entire group turned against them. Not through violence, through mockery, gossip, and social exclusion. In a world with no police and no courts, public opinion was the only law that mattered, and it worked for a very long time. Then something changed. About 10,000 years ago, humans began farming. It changed everything about how humans related to each other. When you plant crops, you cannot move. You are tied to your land, and when you cannot move, you can accumulate. Things stay where you put them. For the first time in 290,000 years of human history, one person could own significantly more than everyone else. And the gift economy, which began to collapse, barter appeared next, not as the origin of money, as a symptom of its collapse. And then came debt, real debt. The oldest written records in human history are not love poems. They are debt records from ancient Mesopotamia, roughly 5,000 years ago. Not stories, not songs, not wisdom. I owe us. Money itself did not appear until roughly 600 BC, in Lydia, modern-day Turkey, and it was not invented by merchants trying to make trade easier. It was invented by kings who needed to pay armies. Soldiers needed wages. Kings needed taxes to pay those wages. The market was not a natural human invention. It was a military accounting system dressed up as freedom. And here's what all of this means for you right now. You live in a system that is roughly 2,600 years old. The anxiety you feel about money, none of that is human nature. For 290,000 of those years, the most powerful person in any community was not the richest. It was the most generous. Wealth was not measured by what you kept. It was measured by how many people needed you. We did not discover a better way to organize human life when we invented money. We abandoned one that had already worked for longer than we can possibly imagine. The next time you feel like there is not enough, remember, for 290,000 years, enough was not something you had. It was something you gave.